Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of FatHead with Monty and Christian. I am Christian, and that's Monty.
Yeah,
He is Monty.
I am.
And yeah,
I think so. I mean, last I checked, I was.
yeah. Well, and this week we don't have a guest because we don't need a guest. Today we are talking about a couple of things, a couple of subjects, kind of a grab bag right now, but yeah.
Well, there's a couple of things that's been a couple of, I would call them very relevant things. Number one is the whole election process. And I don't want to beat on politics and do this all the time, but I started a Facebook post and I've been getting threats and all kinds of crazy stuff from people that are, conspiracy theory nuts that believe any little bit of information that comes to them from the right sources, no matter how crazy it sounds or whatever. And so I addressed that on Facebook, and yeah. You were part of it. I tagged you in there, and you, Christian.
Yep.
So you've gotten to see a little bit of this, and so I wanted to talk about, dialogue and conversation, and I think it's a lost form of communication because of social media. And this is a sad thing. I don't think people know how to communicate effectively, politely anymore. And social media has killed polite conversation.
It has. Well, I think there's two things that social media has done. Not only has it kind of killed polite conversation or just conversation in general, having a discussion with someone that has an opposing point of view and coming out saying, hey, you know what? I haven't changed my mind. You haven't changed your mind, but we can still be friends.
Yep.
But also, I think what it has done is it has, it's polarized us even more because the other side isn't seeing the other side at all. And so
tell me what you mean by that.
Well, what I mean is because of the algorithms in social media, it of course looks at the things that you look at all the time. So if you're looking at, let's say, like right wing or left wing or conservative versus liberal or Republican versus Democrat versus whatever, it's going to take all that in consideration. So you're going to start to only see stories that can already confirm your belief system.
So it's an echo chamber.
It's
on your computer or phone, basically.
That's exactly it. It's an echo chamber on your phone, on your computer, on your whatever device that you're using that is confirming already the belief system that you have, and it's not showing the other side.
So what happens is when you receive nothing but reaffirming things, all of a sudden, if a Facebook friend or a friend of a friend says something that is opposite or against what you believe, all of a sudden they stick out like a big red sign, big red flags. And then everybody, it's like, hey guys, let's attack this guy because he's a little bit different. He has a little bit different opinion than us.
Well, not only just a little bit different. What happens is because we're only seeing our side, right?
Mm-hmm.
We literally in our mind, we go, that person has to be crazy to only see that side and not see this side.
Yeah.
So we label them as crazy instead of just they're misinformed is all it is. Or they're not seeing the full picture. They're only getting their one side. And, as the old adage goes, there's always two sides to a flapjack or two sides to a silver dollar. There's always a...
Yeah, I agree. I keep telling people, I'm not advocating against Fox News. I'm not saying don't watch Fox News. I'm saying don't just CNN. Don't just watch Fox News or CNN. Don't only take your news from one source.
Right.
Because that's what has kind of led us to this. You believe Fox News is the only real news source,
or CNN, or
well, nobody thinks MSNBC is real news, but
no.
we all know that one's just out there.
Yes.
But there's a lot of different choices. Is it Epoch? Is that how you pronounce it? Epoch Times?
Epoch or Epic? Epoch or Epic? Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
So I know they strive for a more of like a,
They try to
you
look
know,
neutral.
what's that?
They try to appear neutral, and
Try to appear.
I've been impressed with some of their stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I've read a few of their articles, and again, I read nowadays. I read every article with a grain of salt. I kind of have to, of going, okay, well, that's how you see it. Which has there ever really been neutral news though, Money? That's the question that I have. Have we really ever had? I mean,
I don't think
the
we've seen it
things like that, and like,
in our
back then,
in our
truly,
lifetimes. I don't think we've seen it. My mom and dad have told me that Walter Cronkite was a true newsman, and
yeah,
people of that time or before. I think they took a lot of pride in just delivering the news, and back then, people didn't yearn for the entertainment in news
right,
like now. Now people want to be entertained with fancy graphics and breaking news things constantly. I mean, after September 11, I don't. Everybody remembers where they were September 11, but
oh yeah,
ever since then, every time Fox News, you can hear the stinger. You can hear breaking news, and they do this like every hour now. But that was a big deal after September 11 because every time you heard that, it was like there was real breaking news at that point.
yeah.
And now it's just it's a wild goose chase. I mean, it's they say it's breaking news, but it's just something that's a minor thing that we are probably already knew.
Yeah. Well, a lot of yeah, totally. And we saw a lot of that big shift from reporting the news to sensational news when the news companies went privatized, when they were privatized. And of course, when anything goes privatized and public, it all depends upon eyeballs, and you're fighting for eyeballs. And
It
so,
becomes about capitalism, becomes about money.
totally. And
So then,
that's where,
so
yeah.
the discussion goes there. Do you,
Yeah,
I believe in capitalism. I believe capitalism is the way to go.
I do too.
However,
I believe honest capitalism.
honest capitalism. But however, what do you do when you're a news agency and the people that are paying your bills don't necessarily want the straight up news?
Right.
How do you
And that's the
deal with
problem.
that is
That's
the problem.
part of the problem. You're not going to get the straight up news. You're going to get these sensational stories. Look, I go through the top stories through Facebook. The news feed that they choose to feed you,
Yeah.
and I go through those things. And I would say 95% of the things, the articles that I read, I go, that's news.
Yeah.
That's newsworthy. No, it's not. So and so lost their dog. They're mourning their dog. Shut up. I'm sorry.
That was
Everybody loses a dog and mourns their dog.
Zach,
Why
Zach
get
Braff,
an article
right?
about that? What's that?
It was Zach Braff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We
And
talked about
and
it at the time.
my
And
and
it's
my
sad. I love my dog too, but if something happened to my dog, I don't think it would be on the news. I don't know if we can even talk about it on here.
No, and boo hoo. We all lose. It sucks. It sucks.
It does.
Want to privately mourn like everyone else privately mourns instead of having a freaking article written about it where it's just a way of staying in the spotlight, and it kind of, I'll be honest, it pisses me off.
It makes me wonder if the publicist said, "Hey, Zach, you've not been in any new TV shows, not been in any movies.
Right.
We need to get your name back on the headlines."
What's newsworthy? Oh, now because our current culture says that dogs are just as important as human beings.
Subaru thinks so.
What's that?
Subaru thinks so.
Subaru thinks so. Yes.
I love dogs. I do. I think of our dog as another one of our kids. I mean, I'll something happens to her, I'll be really sad. But dogs just they aren't as valuable as people, even though I like them more most of the time.
Yeah, same. And my cat, I freaking adore my cat.
Mm-hmm.
But
cat adores you.
He's a cat.
Yeah, he's a cat.
Cat.
Not a human being, not a starving person in Africa or anything like that. Even.
It's funny. I had a cousin of mine. This is kind of going off on a thing. Who I love to death. I love all my cousins, but this particular cousin, I shall not name any names. We were talking. I just watched this television show where this woman was talking about how you know, like her dog is more important than any other human being in the world.
Yeah.
And my cousin goes, I agree with that. I said, huh? She said, if I had to choose, if there was a train coming and I had to choose between saving the dog or a stranger, I'd save the dog. And but what kind of, that's so, I
Ah,
don't understand that, because human life is valuable.
yes.
I mean, so, and animals are valuable as well, but I'm sorry, if I had to choose between a human being and an animal, I would always choose the human being, even if I didn't know them. I just, anyway, this whole thing of just,
Did you challenge your cousin at that point and ask?
oh, of course. And she goes, well, I'd save you because I know you. And I said, well, but it still doesn't, I just don't, I'm sorry. But I think, here's the thing. We could say things like that. And I'm sure that when she said that, that's what she felt. But I think
Thought that
given
moment.
that in that moment, she'd probably pick the human being.
I hope so. If I'm ever on a train and your cousin is at the train station and there's a alien attack or something, and the aliens give her the choice: do you save this fat middle-aged guy, or do you want to save Rover the dog? I hope she chooses the fat middle-aged guy.
I would hope so too.
Now, the other question is, does she have to carry her choice off the train? Now, then I would understand it, because if you look at me, it's like, I don't think I can carry this guy, but I can definitely carry the dog off the train. So
listen, I would say that in any moment of that kind of danger, adrenaline will do amazing things. I mean, this is how mothers have been able to lift cars off of their trapped children inside of a car.
Yeah, I've heard stories of, kids working on a car in the garage and mother goes out to find him, stuck underneath it. And fathers and mothers, especially fathers and mothers, once you have kids, there's an instinct there that you have to protect your kids. And for a while, I even drove a school bus for a while. I started as a substitute just to fill in, and I loved the job, really liked it. Liked the kids, most of them anyway. And I even, developed that fatherly instinct towards those kids on my bus as well, as far as protecting them. And so I can't even imagine choosing an animal over any of those kids.
No.
That's wild.
Not that I don't value, and neither we don't value animal life. But
I talked to a pastor that said that our animals, he was quite definitive about it. He said our animals will be in heaven with us.
Oh, I believe that. I
Yeah.
absolutely believe that.
Yeah, I thought that was the first time I've ever heard a biblical scholar say that before. I'd never, I was always told animals don't have souls, and that you need to go to heaven.
No. Yeah. No, I think so. And I think all the bonds that we make on this earth will also be the same bonds, when we cross over. Our friends, we'll be so happy to see our friends, and we'll still have that friendship, and our animals, and
That's interesting. Will I be able to make friends with Abraham Lincoln and people like that, you think? I'll even get the same table?
No. Here's the thing. Maybe you were friends with Abraham Lincoln before this world.
That's true. Now we're in the discussion of multiple lives, and I don't discount that. I actually think that I think it's very possible. There are times when I feel like I have an old soul. I'll hear an old song, or I'll see something that it's almost like it brings back a memory, but I can't put my finger on it. It's like this looks. And one of the Captain America movies, or was it the Avengers, where Captain America is dancing with this woman back in I believe it was the 30s or 40s. And it just, the cars, the sounds of the cars just had some kind of a mental registration with me. I was like, this feels familiar.
Yeah.
So I think there might be some truth to that.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think in multiple lives, as far as like in the next life, I'll become, a grasshopper, or I'll become, a woman, or this or that. I think who we are now was who we were before, and who we will be as well, just in a different form. Before we were in spirits, now we're in a body, and then in the next life we'll be in a resurrected perfect body. So
But how do you know it's the next life? Because I mean, you might come back to Earth in a different body 2 more times before the resurrection, maybe. Right?
I don't believe in that doctrine. I don't believe in that idea. No.
So it's all past. It's all past tense.
Well, yeah, yeah.
Are currently in time is how we're going to be at the time of resurrection.
Right. But a perfected version of ourselves.
Perfected.
But here's the thing, because I've had that same experience, but with the Civil War.
Ooh.
Like I've been to Civil War sites and I'm like, I have been here before. This feels so familiar. Now, I think the reason why, maybe now I have two theories, and they're just theories. So don't give me hate mail, anybody. I think the first theory is maybe I've seen a movie that really put me in the mood. Like I did see Glory when I was a child.
Mm-hmm.
And then as a family, we went and visited Civil War sites. You know, we would travel every summer.
So it could be a childhood memory that was kind of or something.
Kind of that deja vu sort of a thing where it's similar enough to a memory that it feels like we're reliving that, you know, that it's that it's happening. Or now this is that's more of like a psychological scientific approach to it, or the spiritual approach is perhaps we were, before we came here, again, just a theory. The church doesn't teach this doctrine, so this is a theory according to Christian, is that I wonder when we were spirits before we came here to earth to gain a body, were we guarding spirits? Were we guarding angels for people who perhaps fought in the Civil War? You know, maybe ancestors that fought in the Civil War, or for you, someone perhaps in what would you say, the 1930s, or
yeah.
You know,
wow, you're opening new doors for me here. I'd never thought of it that way.
Well, again, and that's just a theory according to Christian.
Everything starts as a theory. I mean, that's
yeah. So I don't know, because that's a very interesting thing where it's like I have been here before. I've heard that song before.
Do you believe in guardian angels?
I do.
Do you believe that like if you're stressed out or if you're in danger or whatever, do you believe, as I do, that you can actually pray and ask for angels to surround you?
Yeah, I do. Yep. That's a doctrine that we teach. Yeah,
absolutely.
That you can call on the powers of heaven and angels will come and assist. Yeah.
So that's an interesting theory, is that maybe our spirits were guardian angels, or you know, maybe they're not called guardian angels. Maybe there's some magical name for them. I don't know. Yeah. Christian, go guard so and so. He's on the Civil War battlegrounds, and he needs somebody around him to guide him. You know,
yeah,
something like that. I mean,
yeah. Well, and here's something too. This is interesting. So, you know, I'm very careful around, you know, people who profess to be, what do you call them? Like fortune teller. What do you call those?
Psychics
and things. Yep. You know, and there's another word for them as well. But twice I've had two different women who were spiritualist psychics, or whatever you want to call them, each tell me that I have a woman with me at all times, and she's familial. She's someone and she's dressed in like pioneer type clothing.
So two completely different psychics have told you and given you the same descriptions?
Unsolicitedly, if that's a word, unsolicitedly. I wasn't asking, because again, I you know, and I still take it as a grain of salt. I still take it, you know, as it could be. I don't know.
You know, I believe in it. You know, I believe that certain people, and I'm sure it's much less than the people that actually claim to have these gifts, but I believe that there are a minute amount of people here on this earth that can see things that others can't. I don't know how. I can't explain it. I have that gift occasionally, and I can't explain how it happens. I know the procedures I have to go through to receive those images in my head.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's simply a dark room, no distractions. It usually works best if I had noise canceling headphones on to filter out any outside sound. And as I'm making a connection with somebody, not looking at them, but making a connection with somebody via conversation or text or whatever, images flash in my head. And
Yeah.
I have several times completely freaked people out. I've done this on a live TikTok with people I don't know. I didn't know who they were, didn't know where they were, anything like that. But through that process, literally described the room around them as they looked around it.
Yeah.
So I believe it. I believe that there are people that have that gift. And have you checked into family members that it could be?
No, but I do know that when I found my birth mother, my ancestors were all pioneers that left, with the Latter-day Saints from.
So they took the Mormon Trail then.
Oh, totally. Yeah. They I mean, my
they went through southern Iowa. They went through.
Totally. My ancestors were part of the whole group that settled the Salt Lake Valley. And so, and the Utah Valley. And yeah, it's interesting. And I think that I agree with you. I think that people do have these spiritual gifts. I think the problem is when they use those spiritual gifts for either notoriety or financial gain. And I think in those instances, they can be taken away.
Or infiltrated by evil, perhaps.
Right. Or infiltrated by evil. I mean, I do know, we know from, what was the, my gosh, I know it was Moses was it Genesis, where, he threw down, no, the priests, the evil priests threw down their rods and they became snakes. You remember that story?
A little bit, yeah.
And so, I mean, and that was
by the power done by Moses.
What's that?
It was a miracle done by Moses to show that these people were evil, right?
Well, so the priests threw down their rods and they became snakes, right? So they were using some sort of a evil priestcraft is the interpretation. And then Moses threw down his staff and it became a snake as well and devoured the other two.
Oh, wow.
So they were able to, I think that, and this is, again, we're getting super religious here, and that's, hey, I'm fine with that. But I believe that Satan can mirror miracles and mirror things to draw people's attention away from the Savior, and things that seemingly are like, oh my gosh, that's got to be a miracle. That person must be. And I think this is why,
that's what the satanic rituals, they do have
right.
the power to do some things. I think that it's possible that they can curse someone or whatever, if they do the certain ritual.
Totally. And that's, I just think that's crazy. And that's where we have to be very careful and listen to that ever so soft influence of the Holy Ghost that doesn't come shouting in our ears, but comes in a very, a quiet moment where our mind and our heart are at one and feel as if something is truth. That's, that's how
Yeah, I think you have to be accepting of that. I don't think just somebody. I don't think an atheist can. Well, let me take it back. I think that the Holy Ghost can speak to an atheist, but I think you have to be receptive of it. I think you have to believe that the Holy Ghost is talking to you, and that you have to. You'll have to learn how to discern who that is or what that is.
Right. It does come down to faith, to a belief.
It does. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've been looking at, so I told you about this earlier off the podcast, but I'm a big Taylor Swift fan, and on Disney Plus, she's been in quarantine in this cabin. I'm not sure where the cabin is, probably somewhere near Nashville.
And when we say cabin, like a 6,000 square foot cabin.
It's not actually. They show aerials of it. Show outside. They're sitting on a porch, and it's an old log cabin.
Hey, all right.
It's a studio, and it's very interesting. But what really got me watching this video, it's the acoustic version of her album Folklore, where they literally just played pianos, guitars, and she sits and sings. And I love it. I've watched it a couple times, but it really drove home a point today that this quarantine, that this coronavirus, it hasn't been all negative. I'm not saying that it's a positive thing that people are dying, but for myself, I know it has forced me to do stuff like this podcast. Before the coronavirus and the quarantine, I didn't have the time to do it. I was out filming political events. I was out doing stuff like that to make a living. And so it struck me that, Taylor Swift wrote 2 whole albums while in quarantine. We're doing stuff that we would have never imagined doing or had to imagine having time to do. I just wonder what all of these other people, I hope that people are taking advantage of this the same way we are. And maybe we just don't know it yet. But then again, I have noticed a huge influx of podcasts.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to have a podcast now.
Yeah.
But what positive things have happened to you because of coronavirus, because of the quarantine?
That's a good question. I think it's caused me to, if it wasn't for coronavirus, I wouldn't have moved up to Montana in the very serene place of West Yellowstone, which has allowed me to really kind of look at my life and figure out the things that I want to carve out of it and the things that I want to keep. To have this ability, to be up in some of the most beautiful nature that I've ever lived in. It's really helped me reset, so yeah, obviously doing this podcast and a few other things, but I think that's the biggest thing.
Well, we wouldn't have, myself, I would have been focusing on politics, so I wouldn't have been able to go down to Louisiana and Texas. So we wouldn't have done that. We wouldn't have had that experience.
Yeah.
And that kind of changed my life to a certain extent, realizing that there were people that have it really bad off that, wanted to help and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that changed me. Excuse me.
Yeah. Oh, bless you. That changed me as well. Seeing that, but also seeing how, and I was saddened with the fact that, the places that we went in Louisiana, which were predominantly Black, how they were not getting attention. They weren't getting the help that they, if it had been, I'm not one, I don't believe that there's necessarily systemic racism. I don't believe in,
really, Oh, I totally agree.
Not systemic in the sense that it's written into someone's policy. Is there racism? Absolutely. There are corrupt cops, yes, but there's also, it's not a systemic thing where all cops are racist. It's not written into, but I think culturally speaking, that certain racism does exist. A lot of cops won't go into certain neighborhoods because, well, they're dangerous and they're predominantly Black or this or that. I do believe in that. And if that's what you want to call systemic racism, then sure. I think it's a matter of argumentation of words here. But I do believe in racism. And I do believe
we were in that neighborhood, and the one guy pulled over to talk to us, and he told us, "Hey, it's getting dark. You guys don't want to be here when it gets dark." And
yeah, totally.
He was a Black guy, an older guy, and just looking out for us. He was, just helping us out a little bit, and I think he was right. I don't know that he meant us harm, but
I think he was looking out for. But I think I just said I believe in racism. Let me correct my words because that sounded. I believe that racism exists. I hate racism. I think racism on either side. I don't think that. But I also don't believe that reverse racism exists. Racism is racism. I don't care what color, nationality, creed, whatever. But here's I don't even remember where I was going with this, Monty. What was I trying to? What was the point?
So we were in Louisiana. Was it 3 weeks after the hurricane? And we didn't see, we were out there with 3 or 4 cameras. We were out there with drones and everything. And we didn't see a single news truck. I didn't see a single reporter with a microphone and a camera reporting on it.
No.
I didn't see any National Guard. I mean, I think we maybe saw one or
You
two.
didn't see the Red Cross.
Yeah. Well, we saw the Red Cross, but they weren't in the streets, by the homes that were damaged.
I never saw the Red Cross, but I think you probably did.
We went and toured the Red Cross. Remember, we went in the kitchen truck.
Oh, that was before I got there.
No, was it?
I don't remember.
Did you not go on the tour?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, you were in the car when I flew the drone over the Red Cross.
Oh, yes.
Remember that? And the security guard was watching the drone, and I was like, "Oh, the security guard's on his way over."
That was the Army.
You are absolutely right. That was Salvation Army. That was not Cross.
Yeah, no, the Salvation Army, who gets a lot of bad rap because they're religiously bent, but they were that were there, and
the captain and I spoke about that, and he said, while yes, to join the Red Cross as in whatever professional capacity, you do have to be a pastor, you do have to be a reverend or whatever, but when they go to serve people, they don't ask you of your religion. They don't ask you if you're straight or gay or black or white, or they help you regardless of any preferences or lifestyles or anything.
Well, you do have to have this one qualifying thing in order to receive help from the Salvation Army, and that is that you have to be a breathing human being. So,
yeah,
And
we even they were even collecting dog food, so it wasn't just human beings, unless humans eat dog food.
There you go.
I suppose they do sometimes, but
I did when I was a kid. I tried it a couple times. The wet
kind. Not that bad. It's not that bad. It looks bad and it smells bad, but it's not that terrible.
I thought it was tasteless and disgusting, but you know what?
If you were hungry, you could definitely survive on that. Yeah, I mean,
surprised at what I have eaten when I've been hungry.
Stick it in a pan over fire. Yeah, absolutely. Just cook it like Spam.
Yeah.
I would eat well. I mean, honestly, if that's as bad as it gets. Did you ever do the when you were poor? Did you ever do the Totino's pizzas? The little 88-cent pizzas.
Oh, totally. Are you kidding me?
I lived off those.
There was a time where I lived off of Totino's pizzas and ramen noodles.
Yep.
And that was my diet. That was it.
I had one winter. I had a really nice apartment, but then I had lost my job. I moved back from Omaha, Nebraska to Des Moines. I lost my job, and I wasn't able to pay my electric bill. So I literally lived the winter off of those pizzas and ramen noodles. I stole the cable from my neighbors to get cable on TV. I spliced into it in the middle of the night, and I burned garbage in the fireplace to heat up the apartment.
Oh my! Look, you got to do what you got to survive, right?
Looking back on it, and then looking at the people in Louisiana, I'm thinking I didn't really have it that bad. I mean, I had food. I had a source of heat. It wasn't 70 degrees. I mean, I think it was 50, but I was surviving. I had cable TV. I had a little tiny, just back then it was cable ready, but it was a color TV. It was a real small one. And man, I was living it up. I think I might have had a laptop or a computer too, but, so I had to go charge and stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, same. It was never, I don't think, as bad as those folks in Louisiana that we saw. It was just sad, and it was sad that I mean, look, if they were white, affluent, they would news all over the place.
It would be on the news, and that's why we went down there, to spread some light on it, and in fact, a friend of mine, Ken Alsop, who owns Oskaloosa News, just texted me the other day. He's doing a documentary on, I believe, a hurricane in Louisiana, but he needed some aerial footage. And so he asked me if he could use some of my aerial footage from Louisiana. And
Nice.
yeah, so that trip is still paying off. That trip is still getting
That's good.
and stuff like that. So
Good. Nice.
amazing. Good memory. Good memory of a bad event.
Yes, good memory in the sense that we were there to help, and I think we did. We did help. We filled a ton of sanitizing bottles, hand sanitizer bottles, and
Oh man, we did it in the dark. It was,
yeah, we did. We set up my film lights connected to my to the battery pack that you gave me.
yeah.
And
that was wild. Do you still have the battery pack? Is it still holding charge?
It's actually charging this.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, it's charging this right now as I'm speaking.
Right now? Awesome.
That's it's a big bulky thing. It takes forever to charge, but I'll get a lot of charging out of it.
Yeah, it takes about two good days to charge, but it'll run an iPad and a couple of iPhones for a day.
Oh gosh, a couple days. Yeah,
couple days. Okay. All right. So, what else did we wanted to talk about? The quarantine, the things that we do during quarantine. If you haven't seen it, if you have Disney Plus, check out the Taylor Swift.
I gotta check that. I'm gonna check that out tonight. Actually,
it's really good. They took out all the F words. I mean, Taylor Swift until now has been pretty clean and not explicit content, but she went a little bit more realistic in this one. There's some F words in it, but not if you watch it on Disney Plus. They cut all that stuff out, so you can watch it with friends and family. I really enjoy it. I enjoy it with the F words in it, just because I'm a musician and I understand the intent of it. I'll put it that way. I understand the emotion that is behind it. And sometimes, like when movies, it's like Die Hard. I can't Die Hard on network TV with all of the vulgarities cut out. It's just not the same.
Any film, the only swearing and violence is I don't mind. It's if there's like nudity or sex, that's what
that's different. Yeah.
But
what is the, I suppose that would be a temptation or something like that, or with pornography, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, it's
watch TV now without that. Really,
I feel like no matter what you're going to watch, you're going to get just the way that a lot of things that women are wearing too will just like it leaves nothing to the imagination.
I kind of like. I understand.
Not that I'm complaining.
No, I get it.
But at the same time, it's like when you're trying to, you want to have good thoughts and thoughts. Yeah, it's very distracting. Yeah.
So I haven't named these people yet to you. I haven't told you yet, but I've got a friend down in Arizona that has a bunch of connections to the UFC, Ultimate Fighting Championship or something like that.
Yes.
And I'm an idiot. I don't know any of these people, but that doesn't mean that you guys won't. So coming up here, we have lightweight champion, the winner of Ultimate Fighter. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to look at it on my phone. So this is a picture of the guy. So this is a good friend of my friend that I just made down in Arizona. I'm connecting him with some people that I know. And so he has this guy coming on our show. It's Efrain Escuardo. So he is Escuardo, Escudero. I'm probably not pronouncing that right.
Yeah.
So, and we also have a couple of comedians coming on. Darren Carter, who looked really familiar to me. I Googled him. He was in Pulp Fiction with John Travolta.
Who's he in that?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to IMDb him. And then we've got another guy, a friend of Raul's is Toby Hick. And that name sounds really familiar. I haven't had time to look him up yet. But so we actually have, he just sent this to me. So have you ever heard about Lethal Injection? I guess that's a name of a group. I think it's group Lethal Injection. Huh. They have a song called Lennon. And then they have a song called The Truth, and the YouTube video has tons of views. His name is Jonathan Russell. So he is going to be a guest on the podcast coming up here. So we're going to have to brush up on our music videos and our comedians, and
Yes,
we're going to have to know the level of which we're talking to, because
yeah.
these guys are famous comedians and stuff like that. So,
Well, you mentioned UFC, and I used to watch those. And when I was in high school, we watched those all the time. We thought we were so cool. We go, excuse me, my gosh. We go over to my one of my best friend's house, and a bunch of us guys would get together, and we get pizza, Mountain Dew, and O'Doul's.
Oh, that's funny. I have not heard that for a long time.
Yeah. I still like the taste of O'Doul's.
Do you really?
I do. Yeah.
The only beer I like the taste of is Guinness. That's it, Guinness, and it's a very low alcohol content beer. I don't drink it for alcohol.
So. Well, I don't drink alcohol, so yeah. So with that's why I like O'Doul's.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not bad.
What do you have going on in the future here? You have any big news? Do you have any?
Oh boy. Well, I a potential thing with a potential project in Nashville with
you don't have to give away if you don't want to, but
well, I'll just do it rhymes with Shmoney Schmash. And
Lonnie Trash. Is that
that's
it?
Okay. Trash. Okay. So I got that, and then I've got what else do I have? What else? I might be going back to my. Oh no! I am performing at Evermore Park on New Year's Eve.
They had a really great video article on BuzzFeed about Evermore Park, and you were in several of those scenes.
I was.
Yes, my wife and I watched that because my wife's like, "What is Evermore?" I was like, "You got to see this." I had never heard about it, and all of a sudden you told me about it a while back, and so I Googled, looked it up, and I was like, "This is a really neat place."
Well, I helped open it up. I helped start it. I was part of the first team. My friend Ken Brett Schneider, who owns Evermore Park, which we're going to have a guest on sometime here. He's created several successful businesses. One of them he sold to Disney. We'll have him talk about that. But he we've been friends for years, and he brought me on.
So are you
the beginning stages?
Are you going to play a character out there? And when is that? When can people find you there?
New Year's Eve. I'll be there. There's a huge New Year's Eve party that's going down there. It's my third New Year's Eve in a row spent at Evermore Park.
Okay.
It's always a blast.
Is it a party, or what would people expect when they come to it, if they want to come to it?
Well, you literally go through, when you go through the gates of Evermore Park into the park, you're walking back into ancient old England, like a small hamlet or a village in England, where you're going to meet.
I mean, from the video, it really looks authentic. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. I mean, we had and continue to have a very talented team of artists and artisans who created all that stuff, most of it. But we did. So Ken flew to Europe before we opened the park and had, 10 or 12 full-sized, storage containers, huge storage containers filled with old pieces from old churches that were no longer, there. We actually got, I don't know how many actual headstones they were real headstones from over there. And what would happen during World War II, they would move the bodies from a graveyard, but the headstones would remain. And so those eventually just, became, in piles and stuff like that. And so we bought a bunch of actual headstones from Europe that are in our cemetery. There we have a ton. We're talking millions of dollars worth of actual.
So parts of the buildings are actual authentic. They were real.
Oh yeah. Pillars that we have that were a part of ancient old. We have a lot of things that are very old that are there. One of the pieces that we have is, I don't remember how old. It's like it's like 3, 4, 500 years old.
Wow.
I will tell you this, that when we had that stuff at the studio, a lot of supernatural activity started to happen at the studio.
Really?
That didn't happen before that, and I experienced one of them, and then a couple of my friends saw the exact same thing on multiple different occasions.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm curious. What did you guys? Tell me about this. I had not heard this.
So in the studio, so you had the offices in the front, and I had my office in the front, and then you walk through these doors, and you go into this huge warehouse studio, right? And there was stairs that went up to an office that was on the second floor. Several times, two or three, no, it was like three of my friends that worked there in different capacities at different times saw a full-bodied apparition of a man standing up on the balcony portion of that. You walk up the stairs, and there's the balcony, and then you turn around, and you walk, into the office up there. And so three friends said they all saw the exact same thing, that full-bodied apparition up there. What I experienced, I couldn't sleep one night. This is before we opened up the park, and I was so stressed because nothing like this has ever been done before. And so I couldn't sleep, and I about 4:30 in the morning, I showered, I got ready, and I drove over to the office, and I just started working about 5 o'clock in the morning in my office. Now, my office door was, you walk out my office door, and you walk straight down this hall, and there's the door to the warehouse studio.
Right.
And I'm sitting there. It's 5:30 in the morning, and I'm working on my computer. And all of a sudden, I hear, it sounds like full blown construction happening inside of the studio, like hammers pounding, heavy objects being dragged across the floor.
Nobody was there.
Well, and that's it. So I was like, well, I thought someone was there, and I thought, okay. So I kept listening to this going on, and then finally I had to use the restroom. So I went and I used the restroom, and I walk in the bathroom. The studio lights were off, so I walk in the bathroom, do my business. I walk out, and there is this motion sensor light in the corner of the room next to this garage door that would also open and close on its own during the day, but never at night. It was weird. So when I came out of the bathroom, the motion. Oh, and sorry, let me back up. As soon as I walked through the door to use the restroom, all of the sounds stopped.
Huh.
And I thought, well, that's interesting. So then I used the restroom, and when I come out, that light in the corner was on. The motion sensing light was on. And I thought, okay, that's weird.
Yeah.
I go back in my office, start working again, and shortly after that, boom, all of those sounds, pounding, dragging, all that stuff happened again. And I heard that until about 6:30 or so in the morning. Then it stopped. And then I started like sending messages to people like, hey, were you here this morning? The people that work out in the studio, like, a couple of my friends who use those kind of tools to build, things that look like old furniture and things like that. And,
Sure.
Nobody was there except for my buddy Troy, who was the shop foreman, and one of the most talented artists and sculptors. And, he builds puppets and all that stuff. Anyway, he actually lived like 2 hours away. And so he would sleep up in the upstairs office all the time. And he didn't believe in ghosts. But I said, so Troy, you were there? And he goes, yeah. He goes, yeah, those I think his words were, those damn sounds kept me up all night.
Really?
Yeah.
He didn't believe in ghosts.
What's that?
But he doesn't believe in ghosts. How did he explain that then?
I don't know. He didn't. We talk about that light, that motion sensor light would come on randomly throughout the whole night. So I don't know. Crazy. That was a long-winded story.
Has anybody experienced anything since then like that? The noises and
Well, we no longer are located in there. We've all moved now that the main portion where all the offices are at the park, at Evermore Park, about a couple miles away from where we were before. But where the pieces are, we have activity that happens in some of the buildings there.
Have they allowed any kind of investigation, thermal cameras, things like that? I mean, I have a thermal camera that attaches to a phone. I mean, people wouldn't even realize it unless they saw what you were doing. It'd be very interesting to come out there and do undercover.
We could do an overnighter there.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, and here's the thing.
My big cameras also have night vision, infrared night vision too, so they see in the pitch dark.
Oh, sweet. So we should go there. There's a building that security won't go in alone because they've experienced some stuff there.
I would totally go alone.
Yeah, we should. I'll go with you. I mean, we'll do this whole thing. Like
that'd be black.
But
that goes to Evermore. There we go.
Yeah, it's the building that below is the catacombs, and then above it is the the mausoleum, and then it's where the all the graves, the headstones are in our created graveyard, but they're the original headstones for actual people.
Somebody might still be attached to that or something like that.
I think so. That somebody might be. We even have this doll. You're gonna love this. I mean, this could be a whole other episode but I'll leave on this one last thing. We have this doll named Charlie. He is. I'll get a picture of him, but he's an old marionette doll.
Okay. And
true story. He was owned by two sisters, and in the 1930s or 40s, they had a pact together that if one of them died, the other one would take her life so that they could be together in the afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them contracted, I don't remember what it was. It was some, plague or illness or sickness that caused her to die at a very young age. We're talking like 9 years old or something like that. Wow. Yeah, and so and Charlie was their favorite doll. Charlie was their connection, one of their connections. I mean, he was their favorite doll. So the story goes, the surviving sister jumped out the window to her death holding Charlie.
Wow.
Yeah, and Ken found this doll and has a picture of the two girls together holding Charlie when they were younger. So it's a little, but that doll, and people say that it gives them the heebie-jeebies. Some people, even before they hear the story of Charlie, he is a little creepy looking anyway. But a lot of them say, I just feel this like evil emanating from him. And he is in the building, the Burrows, that myself and my one of my best friends, Matt Matson, who played my dwarf brother, plays my dwarf brother. The two of us. It was in our building that we inhabited, so we saw Charlie all the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's I think like a plan. We need to do that. So
I think we do
investigate. So
yeah, and on a lighter, did find a black bra in some woman she'd taken her bra off and put it in one of our little chests.
And now you may be listening to this podcast right now. Well, that's my bra.
That's totally my bra. Well, we felt like rock stars. We're like, dude, clothes off for us.
Oh, that would be awesome. All right. Hey, that's a wrap on FatHead for this week. Thank you for watching, listening. Please I know you're probably watching it on YouTube or listening on Apple Podcasts or whatever, but please, if you can, subscribe. We always take donations. In fact, we should probably do that to fund the supernatural trip to Evermore.
There we go.
Do the investigation.
Yes.
So yeah, if you want to contribute, we definitely will accept that. So anything else? Would you like to say anything else?
I just say, hey, look, comment, let us know if you like these grab bag episodes where we have no particular subject, but a lot of different subjects. So
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for listening. Thanks, Christian, for being here.
Thanks, Monty. God bless everyone. God bless you, Monty.
Yep. You too. Take care.
Thank you.
Everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.